you were here for the job interview, correct? Perfect. Okay, I'm just trying to fix my keyboard before we get going, because I know that there's probably going to be a lot of typing that I have to do. You seem like you're all about business. I like that. That's a good trait to have. So, real quick, before we kind of start getting in with the questions and stuff like that, let me rephrase this. Is this a job that you've been looking to do, like, for a long time? Is this something you grew up, like, wanting to pursue when you got older? Is this something that recently, something you became interested in, or what? Like, kind of give me the backstory of why you want to apply for this job. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so you kind of grew up wanting to do this. That's pretty cool. Pretty interesting. Okay, so you kind of know like what this job entails and what you're going to be dealing with on a daily basis. Okay, cool. And so let's just get some basics out of the way, and then we'll get into what the actual job description is going to be. Not a lot of people want to do it, I'm telling you. And when I tell you a little bit about the job in general, people tend to get scared away by it. So we'll see when I start getting into those details. But let's start with your name. Okay, that's a good name. Perfect. Okay, and then your last name. Okay. I keep telling my tech guy to fix my keyboard. I gotta do that every once in a while. It kind of freezes up. Yeah. It's crazy. Okay, and your phone number. Okay. And your date of birth. Perfect. Okay, that's a good date of birth. I like that. Okay. Current address. Okay, that's a good address. Good part of town. I like that. Okay. How long have you lived there for? Just 3 years? Okay. That's a long time, actually. Perfect. Okay. So let's get into the job a little bit. And I want to kind of see what you're going to do in certain situations. But anyway, okay. So as you know, this job deals with the homeless, okay? You're going to be dealing with homeless people, okay? Now, that's kind of what we do as a business, right? We have a lot of different occupations that deal with homeless people, okay? So, obviously, this job is going to entail it's a night shift job, okay? So, you're going to be kind of, your hours will actually be 9 p.m. To usually about 5 a.m. Okay, usually 9 to 5. Now, 9 o'clock is when the homeless will start to kind of tire out. The drugs will kind of start getting to them, and they will start going to bed. Usually 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. is usually their bedtime. All depends on how many drugs are in their system, all those types of things, right? Your job is going to be to read them some bedtime stories, okay? You're going to tuck them in. You're going to read them stories. Be very peaceful. Be very calming for them, right? Because they're going to be going crazy, right? Some of them sleep standing up. You'll have to also, sometimes they're so out of it that you might think that so you need to check pulses. We're going to get you some stuff like that, some little doctor's equipment, so that you can like say, oh shit, is this dude sleeping or is he actually, okay? Absolutely. You're going to be also in charge of kind of keeping them hydrated, giving them water. That is something that they don't really like to do too much of, but you're going to have to kind of make sure they're getting water. Again, read them bedtime stories, keep them all on the same track, right? They're going to be kind of doing different things. They're going to be talking a bunch of wild stuff. We know how they are with sprinkles. They love sprinkles, right? Remember? So, you know, so this is an example. So you're going to be just sitting there. Let's pretend this is a book. And you're just going to be, you know, reading, and you're going to say, hey, Charles, you know, it was the night before Christmas, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, Ray, he's had a little bit too much, you know, he's a little hopped up right now. And he just comes in your face. Not comes in your face. But he's gonna grab his sprinkles. Okay, he sees you. You're an easy target. Okay, you're not one of them. Okay, so they have an issue with that right off the bat. They don't like you hanging out in their area, right? So he's gonna grab these sprinkles right here. There's tons of them. They love sprinkles. It's their favorite thing to do. It's like a fidget. It's like a fidget toy for them. But they just love sprinkles, right? They just like shaking it, right? So he's right in your face. And he's just doing that. Right? He's going crazy, right? What do you do in that situation? You think that would work though, or? I don't think telling him to stop is going to work. So give me a little more in detail of what you would actually do. I don't think he's going to listen to that. He doesn't even hear anything. He's hearing other voices in his head right now. You're the last voice he's hearing. You need to do something that's going to get his mind on you, and then he's going to realize, oh shit, what am I doing? I shouldn't be shaking these sprinkles in this person's face. I shouldn't be doing this. That's rude. He's not comprehending that. You need to do something that's going to pop him back into reality, and so he can kind of think like, oh, this is probably not a polite thing to do, right? So what are you doing? Okay, yeah, that's a good tactic. We've seen that work before. We've also seen it not work before. All depends with these people, man. Certain things work on certain people, other things they don't work at all. Other times it'll kind of rile them up a little more. That's not bad. Okay. This is a very common thing with the homeless people, especially the male population of the homeless, right? So we have a homeless guy named Dennis. Okay. Now Dennis carries around these. Okay. We had to confiscate these from him. He finds a way to get a hold of like just all the, I don't know. We've taken like 10 of these from him. I don't know. But what he did to our last person in your job, Rebecca. So she finally had to quit after a couple months because every time that he was around, she would be reading stories, right? She'd be reading Harry Potter to them, whatever, you know. They like Harry Potter. Absolutely. So, but what he'll do is, she was reading the stories, and you have long hair, so this is going to relate to you. So he would just kind of sit almost like really close to her, right? Like this close. And he would just play with her hair like this. And when he was on, like, depending on what drug he was on, if he's on like mega drugs, he can't really understand how much force he's using. So he started pulling her actual hair out, right? Little strands, just little plucks. Well, 3 weeks into her job, she was missing all of her hair on the right side of her head. Okay? And she tried to file a complaint with HR, but HR denied it. They just said, hey, that's just Dennis, man. Like, that's part of the job, right? Like, you signed up for this. You know you might lose your hair doing this, right? And then there was one time where Dennis and then Charles, they were both on something, right? They were going crazy. So Dennis is just sitting there plucking. He's kind of doing it fast and kind of aggressively with her. You know, he's just plucking. He's actually just sitting there saying pluck. He's just doing that. He's in a trance, right? Then you have Charles, and Charles comes up, and he's right side by side. So imagine, so picture Dennis right here, pluck, 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 and then Charles is right here, and he's just doing that, right? And you're trying to read this book, right? So that's the other thing, like you're trying to read this book, but this is right in front of your face, so it's very difficult to make out the words and the letters. So now what happened is the other homeless people, they're getting frustrated because you're not reading properly, right? But they're not mad at Dennis, they're not mad at Charles, those are their buddies. So they're mad at you, right? And they start to turn on you, right? They start to heckle you, they're throwing water bottles at you, they're throwing crack pipes at you. They're doing all sorts of stuff, right? They're trying to go to bed, and you're stuttering over your words, you can't read right, the story's not making sense to them, and they're getting riled up, which is the opposite of being sleepy and comfortable, correct? So that is something that's very important in this job. You'll be dealing with all sorts of stuff like that. But yeah, Charles and Dennis are definitely two of your biggest issues usually. They could be wild, right? Absolutely. For sure. Now, another thing is this. So there's another guy named Mark, okay? Mark will be your best friend. He will also be your worst enemy, okay? When he gets his hand on, when he gets his hand on a Nacho Bel Grande from Taco Bell, it's over. I don't know what that mix is, like with whatever drugs he's on, and then he eats that taco, and it just sets him off, and he becomes a totally different person. Mark is a very sweet guy, normally, but when he gets that Taco Bell in his stomach, it just does something to him. I don't know what it is, so you gotta really make sure, if you see him eating Taco Bell, you might wanna, there's not really a way to de-escalate him, so you just gotta roll with the punches, right? Now again, you can't touch these people. That's one of the biggest issues as well. You can't touch these people, right? We've had people before get in fights with them, we've had people push, we've had people verbally abuse, like people in your position, and they were fired. We don't allow that, right? You need to treat these people like their family, right? They have some issues. But you gotta do what's right, okay? You gotta be professional in all cases. Absolutely. Okay. I'll get into maybe some more examples, but let's first of all talk about, are those hours fine for you? I mean, they have to be fine because that's your job title. Yes, okay, cool. Now let's talk about pay. Let's talk about vacation time, benefits, all that stuff. So you actually will be working, like I said, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. You will work, so usually you will work Wednesday through Sunday. That's 9 to 5. Sometimes there can be overtime depending on situations, right? If Mark has Taco Bell and stuff like that, it can be a long night and it can get crazy, right? So just be prepared for that. Now let's talk about hourly pay. So your hourly rate is going to be $14.50 an hour. It's pretty good. That's a really good wage nowadays. It is. Don't go looking. It is a very good wage. Very good. Very competitive with places. Okay, so $14.50 an hour. After 1 year, you'll get a week vacation. After 1 year, you'll get one personal day. If you call off, you actually don't get paid for that day, but you also lose 2 hours of pay. So let's say you work Wednesday through Saturday, okay? So you've worked 32 hours. But let's say Sunday, Blake Shelton's in town, and you're like, I gotta see this guy play. I've been a fan since I've been 6 years old, right? So you're like, I gotta see him live in concert. So you call off work. not only do you not get paid, you lose 2 hours of work. So now you're down to 30 hours a week, or for that week, right? Because you worked 32, but you called off, you're down to 30. Let's say you come down with a real bad sickness, you can't work all that week. You now owe us 10 hours of pay. So now you're gonna owe us $140.50 because you couldn't work that week, okay? So that's how that works. We'll have this all, I'll give you like a little packet with all this information in it. Okay. You do get a work uniform. You are responsible for cleaning that. There could be some, you'll definitely have stains. There'll be throw up stains, feces. They like to throw it, especially if they don't like the story. You know, that's a big thing. You got to pick good stories that everybody's gonna like. I remember somebody was reading a Star Wars book, right? Well, Mark didn't like that, and Mark had Taco Bell that night. Just right in his hand, threw it. Hit Tracy right in the eyeball. She got pink eye. Had to miss 2 weeks of work, which means she owed us a lot of money because you can't be calling off. I don't care what happens. You don't call off. Okay, let that be a lesson. Okay, go. We'll give you Tracy's number. Call her. See what happens. See where she's at now. Okay, she's homeless now. She's dating Mark now. Yeah, they're a couple. They're actually very cute. Very cute couple. So, I mean, that can happen. We actually, so actually, you know, there's probably about 5 or 6 ex-employees that that are homeless now, and that you'll be dealing with. So anytime you want to talk to them about the job, look at them, right? If you don't do a good job, you might end up homeless, and you'll be, you know, watching us from the streets, interviewing the next person. So just be aware of that, man. Absolutely. Okay, so you definitely want to do a good job. This will open up doors in the future. Like if you do a good job with this can get you other jobs in the industry, right? You have other homeless jobs that will kind of climb you up the ladder. This is kind of like the starting point, right? If you can do a good job for like a year or 2 doing this, we can potentially give you a promotion. Absolutely. Good. Okay, perfect. So any other questions? No? You love it? This is, yeah, I know. I knew I liked you. So you're definitely down for this, right? Perfect. Okay. Perfect job. Okay. So you're going to start on Wednesday, okay? 9 p.m. It's nice to get here like 20 minutes early, so you can kind of pick out some books. Or you can do it from home too. You're responsible for buying the books, yes. We don't supply any books, no. So I would suggest probably going to like Barnes & Noble, picking up some good quality books, some expensive books. They like the homeless people like really expensive books, so I would definitely make sure to get some good ones. They like fantasy, action, sometimes action, love stories. Mark and Tracy love a good love story, so I would actually do that. I would start with that. Kind of maybe puts them in the mood. Now they'll get a little handsy with each other if you start reading a love story. They might start doing some stuff. Just look the other way. Okay, Mark's pretty quick. He shouldn't be that long. Okay, so it just lasts a couple minutes. Just, you know, should be fine. Okay. I'll give you some more information when you kind of really start working. Okay. But anyway, yeah, you'll start Wednesday at 9 p.m. But again, be here about 8:30. Yeah, okay. All right. I'll see you Wednesday. I'll email you, and I'll have a packet for you with all the information about like pay and blah blah blah. Okay. This will be a life-changing experience, I promise. Okay, I'll see you Wednesday.